unfreeze कराना. Okay, good afternoon. Had a good lunch? Ready for a nap? So that's what I feel like. I was talking to Mr. Lalit Veeratunga, great man. He's done a lot for the country. Anyway, right. So last time we looked at cost, we looked at resource optimization, earned value, contracts, and so on, right? So we had a detailed discussion on that. So let's move forward. So today we want to talk about procurement management, right? So what is procurement management? Don't confuse procurement management with purchase manager, right? It's two different roles. So procurement manager is all about making sure the entire strategy of the project plan is worked on. Now, why is procurement management is very important? If you take a, let's say, construction project, right? Let's say a 50, 60-story building. Now, the most amount of cost, 60 to 70% is goes to the procurement manager. The most cost, the amount of budget that is allocated to procurement manager is about 60 to 70%. If it's a 100 million project, 60 to 70 million is for him. Only balance 30 is for others. So he is tasked with the largest amount of money, responsibility to make sure things happen on time. Things are delivered on time. Not only that, things are negotiated to the best price, right? And he can't delay a project. So that's the whole game. So a procurement manager is a very responsible person who reports to the project manager. So what is the big difference between the two? Is a project manager is all about strategy, task oriented, right? He or she is looking at delivering the project. But a subsection of the procurement manager is all about negotiation, deals, contracts, managing the budget, all that thing. So procurement manager has a different responsibility, more internal facing, whereas project manager is more external as well as intern. Now, last year I put this question, asking what's the difference between the two. So there are many differences between the two, but the main difference is the project manager is overall responsible for the project. Procurement manager is not responsible for the project or to the team. He or she is only responsible to deliver the things on time. Whereas the project manager has the stakeholder management, communication, project management, cost management, time management. They are different sort of responsibility, right? So if you take a project at any given time, so let's say you have a Gantt chart that needs to be delivered. This is a project plan. Now, so let's say this is lay foundation. That's the start of the project. Now, if you want to lay foundation and this is the start of the project, on that day, you can't decide, okay, let's see what we need to buy. The project needs to start. The procurement manager's job starts much earlier. So he will start sourcing material or importing or whatever that he needs to do so that he can deliver on time for this project to start. So his responsibility starts much earlier. Right? So he needs to plan his own plan. So what will happen is that in the project, procurement manager will have his own plan. So how does it go about? So overall, if we look at it, the planning for procurement or process, first of all, you need to understand what you want. That comes from the scope document. From there, he or she will conduct research and make sure they sign the contracts to purchase whatever. And they administrate it, make sure it happens, and they're supposed to close it. Each contract they sign has to be closed. So if you look at the administration of a procurement, it's divided into three sections. So there is a project plan, which is what we have. But if you look at it, then there is a procurement plan as well. So that is a separate item. So most of the documentation happens in the procurement manager's department, because all invoices, all contracts, all purchases, all whatever they order Whatever they bring down, they have to manage it through a contract or through a performer invoice and purchase order. Then they need to make sure the bank pays amount, make sure transport, shipping, and so on. So they have a wide range of work that needs to happen for them to supply the goods on time. Just imagine a procurement manager delays by 2 weeks a critical path. Material didn't arrive, whatever reason. Now 2 weeks delay. What happens? Project overrun by 2 weeks. Very simple. Then the material that arrived is of not the right quality. Now he has a reorder. Just imagine that task. It has happened. So now he has to air freight the goods. Now let's imagine this project was on a turnkey method. The margins are there. The moment you start air freighting, who is going to pay for it? The project. The project cost goes up to pay for the air freight, and air freight is not cheap. So each time you miss or each time you make a mistake in the procurement, the project cost starts going up. And that's why procurement managers' job is very high-end job, very highly paid job. So they will call for tenders, and they will what they call pre-qualification, selection criteria, and all that. Then they go through this list of bidding and getting the right thing. So why they are paid highly is that procurement managers can be easily bought. So they say, okay, I need to go to China to inspect the factory. When they go there, they show them this is the material, but we are going to supply this one slightly lesser quality. You agree to this one, we will give you 10%. Very common. This is very common. So he is happy. So he is getting taken care of. He is getting the material that is specified in the BOQ or in the scope. He is also taking some money. So procurement managers are one of the highly paid people so that their integrity is very high and they do not do anything wrong. No matter what happens, they will always stick to the right thing. And that's why they are paid a high salary. So this task of finding the right product and delivering it on time is a huge responsibility on them. They delay, project gets delayed. And then obviously the output is that they have to sign contracts, thousands and thousands of invoices, sometimes millions of invoices. They need to make sure it happens. Then they need to shipment, insurance, transport, warehouse to the site, right quality. All this comes under the procurement manager. And they report to the project manager. So you can see the importance in a project for a procurement manager. So these are some other things they will procure, right? So they need to purchase, for example, service. They may have to purchase equipment, materials, and so on, right? So they have multiple things they need to purchase, multiple they need to manage, and then making sure the right price, right quality is administered and delivered on time. So this is why their task is a very difficult task. And obviously, they need to have the right process in place to call for tenders, to understand the law of the land, if there's any issue, arbitration, and they obviously use earned value to make sure the supply gets paid at the right time. And they must have a lot of controls, especially quality check. We will cover that under quality. It's very important for a procurement manager because they need to make sure the right amount is paid to the supplier. Right. So that is the procurement part. The steps to procurement management is 8 steps. It's a very simple one where once a project is established, you have certain milestones you need to deliver to, and then you identify whom you want to buy from the vendors, make sure that bidding process is done, approval is taken, and then delivered, and then the procurement is closed. So this could be we call it international. So it's not procurement locally. It is not only procurement of labor or whatever, also involves material, equipment, and so on. So part of the procurement, once it's done, you need to identify monitoring and control of a project And this is a key element for a procurement manager. Now, monitoring and control we have spoken about before. This is a fourth stage in a project plan. So this is a waterfall diagram. So fourth step is monitoring and control. Some of the books have it as the fifth step, which I don't agree, because monitoring and control need to be defined before the project starts, not after the project starts. So you need to define it before. That's why I put it here, monitoring and control as part of the waterfall process. Now here you will see a project, successful project. I always talk about failed projects. So here is a successful project, right? This is what they call the Hoover Dam in USA. The Hoover Dam. Now Hoover Dam is one of the largest dams, and it is power capacity is 2000 megawatt per hour, right? 2000 megawatt. Now this project was a huge project at that time, and it was 1933, almost 100 years ago. So they had a lot of problem with this project. So basically, the way it was going to be constructed, the concrete that they were pouring in was going to dry over 100 years. So the engineer came up with a different idea of pouring cold ice water into the concrete to cool it. So rather than using normal water, they decided to use ice water. And they were able to cure, or what they call dry the concrete in 20 months, not 100 years. So innovative thinking. And you're talking 100 years ago, where there was no Google to check and all that. So Hoover Dam was finished in 5 years. The plan was 7 years, 2 years ahead of schedule. And the cost is 49 million. However, the budgeted cost was 139 million. So they were able to, so they budgeted for a long-term project, but they were able to finish faster as well as cheaper. And not only that, if you take it today's term, it is about $1 billion. By the way, this is not in your slides. You don't have to worry about it. Just an example. Now, the project manager, Frankie, obviously benefited from the savings that was made. And rightfully so. But they did have their own problems, and then he had to manage all that. And then finally, around the Hoover Dam, a new town was built. So those days, it takes 8 hours to go to Las Vegas. Along the dam, now you can travel on top of the dam, and that now takes only 3 hours to get to Las Vegas, the famous city. So you can imagine a 2000 megawatt per hour, the size of the project. What do you think the megawatt for our Victoria Dam in Sri Lanka per hour? So here, the power capacity 200, 1/10. Such a small dam. And we think we are the greatest dam. Right? Now, this dam was 1/10 of the size. So what do you think the cost would be? Earlier one was cost, let's say today's term, 1 billion, earlier one. What should the cost be? So the cost was estimated at that time, 1978. If there's any engineers, you would have studied this in the university, at 7.5 billion. At that time in 78, it was almost $1 billion, which is same as the Hoover Dam. Of course, you got to understand Hoover Dam 1933 versus 78. At that time in 78, exchange rate was 10 rupees to a pound. So dollar, sorry. So 10 rupees a dollar. Today is 323 rupees, right? So that is the exchange rate. And it was completed in 1985. 7 years it took, delayed by 2 years. Now, the cost overrun 3 times. So budgeted cost was, as you know, was 0.9 billion. Let's take it at 1 billion. We finished at 2.6 billion. Now remember, this dam is obviously comes under the program was done by the Mahawali Authority. This dam is only 1/10 of the size. Nowhere near the Hoover Dam. Now, my question is, Why did our project take longer, more costly than the Hoover Dam? Okay, I didn't say that, but you are most welcome to say it. Poor planning, yes. You are right. Corruption, poor planning, what else? Technology used, okay. What else? Competent, okay. Engineers. So, this was done by Mahavali Authority, right? And Mahavali Authority, how many dams have they built before? Victoria Dam. Mahavali Authority was the project managers. How many dams have they done before? Zero. Zero. So what is their experience in building dams? Nothing. So where did they get the experience from? From the university lecturer's book. How to build a dam. It's like studying MBA from the book. So what do you do when you don't have the experience? You can't. And every time you have a problem, you run to the professor in the university. Sir, what do I do here? He will look at the book and say, I think this is what you're supposed to do. Trial and error. So we wasted more time. And then finally, a British company came called Balfour Beatty. Margaret Thatcher was the prime minister at that time. She said she will complete it for us. And they donated whatever funds to, we didn't have the money to complete it, to finish the project. Today, Sri Lankan engineers are one of the best in construction of dams. They are hired by African countries. They are hired by Myanmar, Thailand, Indonesia, you name it. We have the best engineers when it comes to constructing dams. Because since then, we have done many. So we have the experience now. So when you don't have experience in a project, you need to be able to hire consultants or hire the right people to help you. And that's very important. No point hiding the fact that you don't have. And this is what happens when you try to do trial and error. Okay. What is this? A cockpit. A cockpit of an aeroplane. Very simple question. Why does an aeroplane have so many gadgets and screens and buttons and thousands of things, and a car has only maybe 4 or 5? Only difference is aeroplane and car can go front and back, so no problem. Only the extra it does is go up. What's the big deal? Why you have so many things then? Risk management, okay. Features, explain. Car is on the road, but flight is on the air. Okay, right? So multiple factors other than a car. Okay. Do you know an aeroplane can take off and land on its own without a pilot? Do you know that? It can. So what's the purpose of a pilot? Now today, you know, even the car can do that. Cars can drive on its own. You don't need a driver. You go to USA, you put a Uber, a driverless car comes to you. You get in there, it will take you wherever you put. Very simple. You go to California, you can get into one of those. Only difference between US and here is we don't have the tricycles there. So we are safe there. Aeroplanes. Now, the problem with aeroplanes is that if something goes wrong, you can't stop and get down and check. Right? So what they do here is that everything, they will have a second item. Everything. All of you know airplane can fly with one engine. It can fly, no problem. No issue at all. But they put two engines, minimum. It's a requirement because if one fails, other one must work. So like you said, risk management. Airplane piloting is all about risk management. If one fails, other one. In a car, you may be 4 or 5 people. In an airplane, you got 400 people. You are responsible. So you can't let it go down. Okay, so that is a lesson on airplanes, very useful for project management, right? What's the connection? A project manager and a pilot of an airplane is same. Why? A pilot who is seated in the cockpit doesn't go and check anything. What is happening at the back? What is happening in the wing? No. All information comes into the cockpit. So he or she is observing, monitoring, and making sure things are happening as per the plan. If there is any red items, they need to address that. Project manager, same story. They don't go and check, what are you doing, what are you doing? Information must come to them in one place, and they check that information. That is what monitoring and controlling is all about. So, monitoring and controlling of projects, the reason why they do that is various reasons behind it. Number one, obviously, to track progress against time. This is the most important thing. If you are delayed, you want to know why. Making sure quality is there, making sure payments are going on time. You are within budget, right? Making sure there are no legal implications, right? And then making sure the contractual obligations are met. There is no environmental impact. There is no people issue. They're always checking things. But they can't go and check each one. The information comes to them and they check that. So we're going to look at how they do that. So some of the most important thing they check is whether we are within the scope, time, cost, quality, procurement. We just spoke about that, how important procurement is. Right? Contractual and the risk on contracts. And then resources, communication. These are some of the things they will keep checking to make sure the project is on track. You can read this, but the most important thing in monitoring and control is this aspect. Potential problem can be identified in a timely manner, and it has to be addressed. So if there is a risk in the project, you want to know before it happens, just like a pilot of an aeroplane. Right? If you are driving a car and you are running out of fuel. So I see some of these motorbikes, guys trying to turn it and get some fuel out, right? When they run out. Because most of the time their gadgets don't work. You want to know before you run out. Right? So you can go to the next station and pump the petrol. Now just imagine you are driving a car that doesn't show you the fuel gauge, doesn't have a fuel meter, doesn't have a speedometer. Now you're driving the car. What does that mean? You don't know when it will run out of fuel. You don't know what speed you are going at. You have no clue. So these control mechanisms are there to monitor those, to give you an idea of what to do. So there are several ways to monitor and control. These are just some of them, the methodologies. But more importantly is to check performance against the budgeted is what monitoring and controlling is all about. And taking corrective and preventive action. And to mitigate risk and any issues you may face. So these are some of the important things a project manager will do through monitoring and control. I will, in a minute, we are going to see a video, so to wake you up. So, part of monitoring control, what are you monitoring control? Why are you monitoring control? Like you said earlier, it is all about risk management. You monitor and control to manage risk, right? Last time we looked at risk. So here you will see the activities, some of the examples of activities. You will see next to it 2 columns, relevance and progress. I'll come to talk about that in a minute. But these activities gets plotted automatically into this chart. It is a 3x3 chart, where is the risk versus critical path progress. We are measuring progress on the critical path, because slack time is a different issue. We can manage, but you can't delay the critical path. So here you will see the green ones, you are nothing to worry. What is bothering you is the 4 and the 6. You don't want the 4 going into red, and you want the red back in the yellow or green. So that is the aim of the project. So you need to make sure that happens. And the relevance versus progress, when do we use that? So when you are doing a project, you will have thousands and thousands of items. Now, if you were to monitor all of them in the plan, it's difficult. So what we have to do is we have to extract for this week what is important, the relevance. This week or this day or this month or whatever, it doesn't matter. For this period, what is important? You extract that. And then you monitor that only on a rolling basis. So what happens is that you extract that, you see what are the ones that is in green, what are the ones that might go into red or already in red. And then you need to address that and put it back. How will you put it back? You may decide, okay, I'm going to work overtime. I'm going to people work in the night. I might add extra resources. I might hire extra machines. Whatever that you need to do, you put it right. So I earlier showed you a 3x3 matrix. In real life, we use a 18x18 matrix, right? In real life. But here I have put a different chart risk analysis. So what does this say? Is that any project when you do, there is a risk. There are multiple risks, thousands of risks. That risk need to fit in somewhere here. It can't be outside of this table. So for example, if you are doing a project in Sri Lanka, let's say earthquake. If you look at this chart here, earthquake is probably a rare event. Not going to happen. It's never happened. Yeah, there are small tremors here and there in the country. It doesn't damage any buildings, right? So it's a rare occurrence, less than 3%. Now, what you need to know is if it happens, what are the consequences? In this case, it is not going to happen. So we can always say insignificant. It's not going to happen. Now, a Japanese guy. Okay, so a Japanese guy will look at this and say, earthquake risk. Certain. Almost 100%. Every Japanese building is built with a jack at the bottom. You know what a jack is? So that any vibration, it can take it. All buildings have, right? So they for sure know it's, and if it happens, they sure know it's catastrophic. Labor strike, Sri Lanka. Where would you put it? Certain. They are waiting. They are waiting to walk out. 100% is guaranteed. If it happens, okay, it is not catastrophic, but it's some moderate delay. In Japan, do they have labor strike? No. In UK, do they have? No. They don't call it labor strike. They call it work to rule. That means I will work only 9 to 5. That's what my contract says. That's all I work to rule. Right? So, only in Sri Lanka, the doctors go on strike. So they don't care for the patient. They care the money. So you have a doctor here. Yeah, you are a doctor. Oh my God. They are the best people ever I saw. They are brilliant people who save lives. And they don't go, I mean, they go on strike just to show that they have a problem. That's all. They don't take it seriously. They're nice people. Where are you, doctor? Kuliapitiya. What are you doing here? MBA. I thought it's a Rome class MSc or something. Right? It's sad, but yeah, it's part of life. Right. Let's move on. Otherwise, I'll be in trouble. Right. So each risk need to be identified and categorized. And that's very important. Why? Because anything in the yellow and green, you want to monitor very carefully. Anything in the green, you are not bothered. You know the earthquake is not going to happen. Why do you bother? What needs to be identified? And we are going to do that exercise in a little bit. Right. So here is a real life project risk register. So you will identify each activity here and you will put the probability of it happening. And if it happens, what's the impact? And you will plot that into this metric we just saw. Okay. And make sure that, so this gets updated all the time. It is not fixed. So as you go along, you will realize, oh, labor strike might happen. Then the risk need to be increased. You will increase the number, saying it is going to happen. Material delay going to happen. So we need to. So it is a dynamic table and needs to be constantly updated. And then this is what a project manager will look at. The cockpit of a project manager. What happens here? They have all this is just a sample. Huh? They have thousands of these items. They will pick what to see. So for example, are we within time? Yes. Are we ahead of time? Yes. 14%. Great. Progress. There's something wrong in the procurement. There's a possibility some of the material can get it. I need to address that. Cost. Here is the actual cost versus budgeted. But is that correct? We don't know because earned value has to tell whether it's correct or not. And so on, right? So this is a cockpit. A project manager will keep looking at multiple of these things to make sure that things are happening as predicted because they can't check everything else. This is a risk summary. So you'll have the activities here. This is an IT one. Activities here. Anything that is green and blue, you are not bothered. Anything that is red, you need to. In this case, there's no red, all amber. Anything that is red, you will need to worry about. So these are some of the reports the project manager will see every day. And then methodology, there are many methodologies. So you will have identify the risk, moderate the risk or mitigate, manage the risk, what you will do, monitor and report the risk, right? And if you want to stay in the comfort zone, you may not get all the risk identified. So you need to stretch out. I'll show you a video of a unknown area that we did projects, right? Planning process for a risk management is you have the risk scope. So you have the scope of a project. So you start your planning stage from there. Then you have the risk identified. So we looked at how do you identify risk, which we will do in a minute. You analyze it, qualitative, quantitative. We looked at it. Risk that is directly impacts the project. Risk that is outside your control. Then you have risk plan, mitigative action you will take if it happens. And then how will you monitor and control? Weekly, monthly, check, whatever you will have to control that. So this is the risk planning process that we do. And at any given time, you don't want your risk, any of your risk is at the top left. You want to make sure you are in the bottom, that is, or the accepted risk, or to make sure you are able to mitigate the risk. Here is a sample risk loss. It's a sample indeed. So you will see that I have, for example, strike. So you'll have a strike as a risk, possible labor strike at site. If it happens, likelihood of it's medium. If it happens, impact is high because it will delay the project. You'll have to follow the labor law. You can't sack them in Sri Lanka. Currently, status is green, responsibility. And if it does happen, you want to import labor. So that means you will fly people from either India or wherever to carry on doing the project at a higher cost. Earthquake, possible, yeah, but very unlikely, low. If it happens, impact is high, not on the equator, so I'm not bothered, and so on. So each risk you have to go through this exercise and make sure you have addressed it. Right, I'm going to play a video on this unknown territory. Have a look and see what are the risks and monitoring and control needs to go into this project. On the yeah. Okay, so this is rover, first ever uh, equipment that was sent to Mars by a human, NASA, right? Obviously, nobody has ever been there. You don't know what is out there. So you plan and execute an unknown project. Since then, there's been 20, 30 different rovers sent to Mars. So they now know what it is. What happened to the first rover is that after a while, there was a sandstorm Mars, which they didn't know, and rover got covered. So it couldn't get up. It didn't have enough battery power to get it. Now, just imagine a project of this nature. You have no clue. You have to do the risk and monitoring control. Just take a simple example. Let's say the solar panel doesn't open, or the tire they use is air out. So they need to mitigate that. So what they, instead of air tire, they will use a solid tire, solid rubber. There's no air in it. Right? So that's why they have two solar panels. If one doesn't open, the other one is enough. So when you do a project that you are not aware, even if you are aware, the mitigative risk, the risk and the mitigation of the risk is very important. You get even 1 millimeter wrong in this one, it will go somewhere else, not to Mars. 1 millimeter. That's how accurate it has. Right. So when you're doing a project, especially if you don't know such project has done before, then you have no reference point. That's when you need to make sure you have identified all possible risks and you have mitigated, or you have put it into the risk log, and you will identify what is there and what can be managed, what cannot be managed. Okay. Right. Some people are finding some of the things very funny. I don't know why. And some people are sleepy. At that part, I understand. And so to give you some work so that all of you can do some work, I'm going to put up a small exercise. Please discuss with your table mates and tell me what are the risks and what are the mitigative action you will take when you're doing such a project, if you have to do it. The risk and the mitigation. Okay, I'll give you 10 minutes. Okay. So let's start. You're going to give me a risk and a mitigative action. Let's start from the back of this table here. Yeah. Step. Theft of what? Okay, so theft of the cash. Okay. Theft of cash. Okay. How will you mitigate that? How will you mitigate?
We can like keep the security authorities informed, and we can like once we get cash, we can deposit it to the bank near the
Security and deposit in the bank. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Next table.
Traffic and road safety. Traffic and road safety.
Right. How will you mitigate?
By getting support from local authorities and police and other forces.
All right. Table in the front.
Health and safety problems.
Okay.
Dehydration problems and physical injuries and everything.
What? Sorry.
Dehydrations and physical injuries.
Take one item, dehydration. Right. How will you sort that out?
Medical screening support and
Supply water.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Next, you have any?
Logistic and route issues like managing long routes across the multiple districts, transportation, accommodation, foods, and rest planning, like that.
Entire project you are now told. We will take one item, accommodation. Okay.
Mitigation is prepare the detailed route plan and rest point of each and every district and get the support from local authority, police district.
Basically, pre-book.
Yes.
All right.
Cultural differences.
Cultural differences. Okay. All right. How will you sort that?
Having the person well known about that area.
Okay. Like a translator or
Yes.
person known in that area. Okay.
Weather conditions.
Weather. Okay. What would you do?
Forecast and monitor the weather and plan the rests accordingly.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say weather rain. What would you do? What's the mitigation for rain?
Look at the weather forecast and plan where you are resting based on that.
Okay. Now let's say you're walking, it's raining. What would you do? Sri Lanka forecast, we don't know what happened in October. I can't rely on that. Right? There's a sunshine, but suddenly rain returns.
Have umbrellas ready.
So provide umbrellas. Right, next. At the back.
It seems like 24 kilometers need to be traveled in a day. So we plan to split the walk into parts and give it to team members.
Sorry, didn't get that. What? 22 kilometers, yeah.
It's roughly about 24 kilometers a day. So, and 27 days. So we going to split the journey into parts and give it to teammates to travel in each day.
Outsource.
No, we have a team. We have a team. So it's like not single person traveling from goal to the end, and we
But
have different
objective is to
people.
do that. Objective is to start to end to travel, to walk.
Okay.
All right.
Um,
Yeah.
Wild animal attack.
It looks like you have experience. Wild animal. Okay. What would you do?
Consult proper people from each area to get a proper understanding on the
Consult in the area. And then, okay, that is consult. What's the action you will take if the wild animal attacks? What would you do?
mm,
Shoo,
get
shoo, shoo, shoo. Keep walking. Elephant comes to you and it's okay.
no, we can go with by ready with some firecrackers, something
Have
like
a prior plan. Maybe
Yeah.
you have a
firecrackers, firecrackers, something like
firecracker. So you'll
Yeah.
throw firecrackers. So you need to have a plan, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, at the back.
It can be fitness and endurance issues happen while the starting the traveling. As a mitigation, we can ready before the start the journey, and also can arrange ambulance prior the starting the work.
So any accident, injuries,
And endurance issues, sometime per day need to work more than 24 kilometers.
so we'll call it health, accident, injuries, have ambulance. Okay. Right. Next.
Crowd management in case celebrities join.
Yeah.
Mitigation step is coordinate with the Sri Lanka police.
In case celebrities don't join.
Na-
I didn't understand.
In case celebrities join.
Yeah. You say VIP will join, right? Yeah. Celebrities will join, yes, for sure.
So we can coordinate with Sri Lanka police.
So let's put it as security for VIPs and coordinate with the Sri Lanka police. You have any connections in police? No. Right.
No,
Next table. Yeah, you can tell.
Legal concerns when it comes to donations,
Okay.
and mitigation is pre-approval on all the documents.
Legal concern. Why do you think it's a legal concern?
Like based on collection, if there's any issues, or like in terms of the money collections, if there's any scams, or someone else pretending to be the collection points, so concerns like that.
You mean to say somebody else might collect the money?
Yeah, I mean those sort of
Frauds like
yeah, fraud.
Okay, possible fraud. Okay, and what's the mitigation?
Prior approval on and also awareness.
Prior approval. Okay, I don't know what that means. I can take prior approval, but I can't stop somebody stealing, right?
Yeah, awareness might help
Awareness,
mitigate that.
Yeah, at the back.
Team motivation and conflicts, that if there is a problem happen, the entire journey will be crash. So I recommend to try to celebrate small wins like that, and yeah.
Okay, what is the issue? How will you address them?
Try to celebrate small things while on the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Small wins.
Yeah.
We will celebrate. Okay. Right. Who else?
Negative responses by the public while collecting money.
You mean to say we didn't meet the target, like?
No, like they're displeased about collecting money because they don't have a clue about what about the cause, because it is miscommunicated.
So we will say, shall we say publicity?
Yeah, negative publicity.
So publicity. So how will you overcome that?
So pre-communicate it well through media
communication through online and media and Facebook and all that, right? Right. You all gave something? Part of the thing. Okay. Next thing. At the back. Yeah.
Couldn't complete the target at the end.
Okay. Target 2 million not achieved. Okay. How will you achieve?
We can divide it. We have total target 2 million. We can divide it from total kilometers and get a little target for members or teams, and we can evaluate at the end of the day how was the collection.
So set small targets. Yeah.
Yeah.
Zone wise.
Yeah.
Okay. Zones. Right. Who else? Back.
Financial risk for basic needs to participants, basic needs, food, accommodations.
Okay. Finance for the participants.
Yes.
Come to that later. Finance for participants. Okay. And how will you give money?
Through promotions, getting the sponsorships.
Sponsorship. Okay. Right. At the back.
Political hijacking of the campaign.
Right.
Political hijacking of the campaigns by the.
Political. What is it? Political.
I mean, the local politicians they are using our campaign in order to gain, show their.
So local authorities or local politicians using it as an opportunity to campaign. All right. How will you stop that?
We are positioning the campaign as strictly non-political.
Yeah, but how will you stop a politician?
Using social media and.
Everything is social media, right? Okay. Right. Who has the table at the front? You gave one. You have more. No. Here, people in the front.
So almost covered. And what we discussed, there's one thing we do have. If people misunderstanding about the collection, so we can make awareness why we are collecting the money.
Misunderstanding on the collection, is it? Okay. Misunderstanding of collection, and you will make them aware. So basically, we will every day report how much you collected, or maybe even have some independent person evaluate, right?
Within the team and the location they are coming to new place. Because in the population, maybe they will think people are collecting money. This is for wrong thing.
Wrong thing, yeah.
Yeah, inside and outside both.
The back. Yeah, same. Right. Okay, good. Anybody I missed? Yeah. Legal. Okay, tell me. Yeah. Gathering. Prior approval. Yes, correct. Prior approval. That's right. Right. Anybody else can think of anything else? So we have this project. We have about 25 risk identified and a mitigation. So we don't see any other risk. Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine. I'll play a video. This is a real project that was done in 2011. Anybody work for MAS here? Mass? Okay. Which? Intimates. Okay. Earlier was somebody else there, no? Intimates. Another guy in batch C. Sorry, lady. Anybody else? Mass? Okay. Good main project. Maybe put that video. Ilang. Video, yeah. Okay, so this was a project that was done by two MAS CEOs after the war finished in 2009. In 2011, they decided to build a cancer hospital in the north because everybody had to come to Colombo. So they wanted to do something different. So they wanted to build a cancer hospital in the north. And the idea was to collect money by walking. So they walked every day, like you said, 22 kilometers or whatever that was. And they were able to do that part. So this project was called Trail, and I was involved in the planning stage. And basically, this project was something that nobody had done before. The war has just finished. A lot of tension, right? A lot of anger. But we still decided we'll go ahead. So the plan was, we called it the Trail, 670 kilometers, and we want to do it in 27 days. And so as you see here, the target we started on 1st July, we wanted to build a cancer hospital and collect 2 million to do that. That was the that was the game plan or scope. Now, there were two CEOs at that time, one guy called Sarindo Nambur and another guy called Nathan, who you might recognize the surname, as happened to be my younger brother. So these two CEOs decided they're going to do something that has never done before. So raised 2 billion. So this was a hospital that was going to be built in the Jaffna. And this was a path that was taken. And obviously, there were a lot of sponsors. Mobitel came forward, PR campaign. MAS came and gave $100,000. A&E gave water free of charge. Every 500 meters, they had water bottles. And there a lot of other people came forward to support the campaign. And we had a dedicated team, and there were good ambassadors who came on board. Mahela, I'm not sure who that is, Otara, Diane, and so on. So we had good ambassadors who came forward to support the cause. But we had to get a cross-functional team, and I was leading this part. And a lot of planning, right? As you can imagine, when we first started, there was only about 11 or 12 people who started. And then over time, when we were almost coming to the end, do you know how many people actually walked with us? Over 100,000, over 1 lakh people joined us. Just imagine the hotel accommodation, transport, food, issues on the road, traffic, all that had to be planned. And we didn't expect so many people. And obviously, there were a lot of pre-events that we wanted to promote this. So a lot of things happened there. A lot of people came to support. And then, we obviously went on announcing and making sure people were aware of some of the things you mentioned that the people can misunderstand, right? And then people came online to donate as well. A lot of people donated online from overseas. And there was some negative publicity as well. People, why are you doing this? You don't have to do this, and all those things. So, there were a lot of negative publicity as well, which had to be managed. We sold a lot of merchandise as we went along, before and after as well. And then obviously, Bhati and Santosh, the music you heard, the song you heard was given free of charge by them. And then obviously, a lot of places like Keels came and gave food on the way after the walk. Some of the collections as we went along. So one of the things that we did, and I think you mentioned that, is that we didn't meet the target at the end. The target was $2 million, but we didn't meet the target. It was 1.5, and we were short by $500,000. Do you know why? The people didn't believe it will happen. People thought it was just for fun. People didn't believe, because the first time it is happening, nobody trusts the people. Nobody has ever heard of this trail project, so nobody wanted to donate. The people who donated did with good intentions. So obviously we were short of money. So then we had other campaigns. So obviously the project was delivered on time, but failed to meet the target. Then we had a lot of other campaign, music shows, food shows, and all that at BMICH and so on. And finally, from overseas as well, we collected the balance money, and we completed the bridge, the hospital, as well as we handed it over to the government in 2016. So it took a bit longer than planned, but we managed to complete the hospital. And now it is running as a government hospital with the government doctors. So they have the hospital there. So different zones, like you mentioned, broken into different zones. And they were all managed by different people, but it's the same people who walked. And people gathered and sometimes joined halfway through as well. A lot of approvals had to be taken, which was a problem. And then finally we managed that. And this is in Tambutegama. This boy here wanted to meet Mahela. So we organized that. So he wanted to give his little till that he has been collecting money. And this boy he had cancer as well. And he had to come to Colombo each time for treatment. So Mahela met him, and he wanted to hand over the till to Mahela. Unfortunately, when we reached Jaffna, this boy died. There were others who were poor. They don't even have a house, but they came and donated whatever they could to support this. And even beggars were willing to give their day's donation. This banana salesman said, I have no money, but I will sell for the day and I'll give you all that income on that. And then finally it was finished. And then obviously trail was completed and the hospital was handed over. Then few years later, 2017-18, the two CEOs decided that it is not fair only to build a hospital in the north, that we must build a hospital in the south to the people of the south. So they decided to walk backwards from all the way from Jaffna. We walked back the same journey, 670 kilometers, 27 days, and so on, and from Jaffna to Gaul lighthouse. And then there we stopped. And this time we wanted to build a larger hospital. So we set the target at $5 million. And we wanted to try and get as much as possible because south, there is the catchment area is large. So we need a larger hospital. So 2017-18, the money was collected. Again, we didn't meet the target, but eventually people came forward and gave the money. But we couldn't build the hospital. From 2017 until 2025, we couldn't build a hospital. Of course, we had issues, COVID, then economic crisis and so on, but that shouldn't be the cause. Do you know why we couldn't build the hospital? Language. Land, no land the government gave right next to the Karapiti hospital. They gave the land, adjoining the hospital itself, huge land they gave us, free of charge. But it's the most common problem we had in 2017-18 before the COVID. Political issues. Even this money, they were asking 10% and refused to give approvals. So we couldn't get the required approvals to start work. For 7 years, we have been trying. So that's why I said till last year. Last year, we went and met the president. He immediately authorized the construction. Not only that, he came forward and he said that he will support through the government materials, not everything, but cement, sand, whatever he can give to get it done. So within last 12 months, the hospital has come halfway. And we hope, I think end of this year, we hope to complete and hand it over. Right? Why it is important is that two things here. One is if you have a project that you have no clue about, how do you go about? Yes, we went through the WBS, we did the Gantt chart, all that we did. But there were risks that we didn't know will happen. For example, we went to Elephant Pass. The army refused to allow us in to go into Jaffna because there was 100,000 people. They thought it was some sort of protest. So then we had to get Mahila involved, talk to the army commander, all those things. And finally, we were allowed to proceed. So like that, we came across problems that we thought we may not have. And that's the risk that we didn't identify and so on, right? There were people fell ill, dog bites, like you said, wild animals, and all that issues were there. Right? I mean, just imagine you people walking and things can happen, right? So, and some tills went missing. I think somebody mentioned that. The till that we collected money, some went missing. Right. So the thing is that when you are doing a project that you have never done before, it's important to identify the risk. And then most important, so one of the things that we should have done with the till, for example, if somebody says, okay, I will collect money, give me the till, we should have taken their ID card, right? And said, okay, here is your till. But unfortunately, we are not authorized to take an ID card of another person. So those are technical things So we have to have a policeman to do that. And a simple thing like that need a lot of planning. Okay, right. Let's move on. Presentation is that. And just to tell you that all of you, whether you like it or not, indirectly are contributing to this project. Everything I earn from PIM goes directly to this project. I don't take a penny home. I teach because I want to support this. And I've been doing that since the day we started 2011. I've been teaching only for this project. Right. Let's move on. The next topic, quality. Okay, right. All of you know about quality, so it's nothing for me to do. Just quickly run through it. Okay. Right. You know what that is? Ratnangana Airport? Mattala Airport? This airport, at least one plane is landing. Some airports empty. You know which airport this is? Yes? No? No guesses? This is Dubai Airport. 1968. One plane for a day, and that plane had 200 passengers. 1968, before all of you were born for sure, right? Even before even I was born. So 1968. One plane, 200 passengers. Today, Dubai Airport, 100 million passengers, 2,000 flights a day, world's busiest airport. Transformation. I mean, you talk, 10,000 airports in the world. To be the busiest airport from what it was to where it is. Just imagine. Tell me how they got there. Proper planning. Okay, so they had a plan. Yes. Vision of the leader. That's very important. Vision of the leader. So leader had a vision where he wants to take Dubai to, and he delivered that. What is that Dubai has to get the money? Whatever you do, don't tell me oil, because Dubai doesn't have oil. What is that Dubai has? Nothing. Nothing. Just sand. It doesn't have anything else. What does Sri Lanka has? Every single natural resource we have, including gas. What have we done with it? Nothing. Just like Dubai. Nothing. Singapore, what do they have? Nothing. Where are they? Number one. So where did we go wrong? Why we can't be Dubai? We have everything more than Dubai has. Lack of leadership, corruption, right? Governments, no unity. We killed ourselves, basically. So you can see one thing in Dubai, if you have been there, everything is very expensive. Even a bottle of water. Right? You can buy 10 bottles of water in Sri Lanka. But they give one thing. Whatever you do, you get the best quality. Whether you do shopping, you buy the fish, whether you go and drink, whether you go even for entertainment, you get the best. So Dubai believes in quality. And how did they get there? It's through certain incentive. They invited Americans, British, Europe to come and set up companies there. And they don't have to pay tax. Tax-free country. Here, 36% tax. If possible, 45 also they will put. But nothing is happening. Still the same pothole is there. Thank you for that. Right? Dubai, you go and see if you can see a pothole. And immediately minister is sacked. Right? So quality is very important in life. And quality is a very important element of any projects. So we looked at time, we looked at cost, we looked at scope, and now let's look at quality. And with all this aspect, let's look at how do you run a project. Right. So quality is all about fit for purpose. Right? Quality is all about fit for purpose. Doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to be cheap. Fit for purpose. So quality in projects have three aspects: quality management, quality assurance, and quality audit. Quality management is all about planning, ensuring the fit for purpose part is there. Assurance is checking and making sure it is happening. And audit is make sure it has happened. Right? What you promise has been delivered. So these three aspects are important in a project. So the planning stages of a project quality is all about making sure in the scope your quality is defined. Tons and tons of pages define the quality. What we call CTQ, critical to quality. So when you do a project, if you have to sit and define each and every item, you will forever writing your thesis. So in projects, what we have a standard. So for example, if you say, let's say, if you are building a column, so you have to put some concrete in there. So if you have to say the ratio, what is the ratio of sand, cement, rocks, water? You have to define that each time. This column must have this. You will be there forever. So what we have is certain standards already predefined. So in construction or in IT or in whatever, even in manufacturing, we have standards predefined in quality. You just have to say, for example, you will say Six Sigma, or you will say BS8110, which is the standard defined for construction. So whatever you do, everybody knows that's the standard. You can't change that. It's the world accepted standards. So you will define what they are early on in your project. And then obviously you need to make sure you're going to implement that quality, and they do that. You need to make sure it's monitored and make sure it's controlled. And then obviously audit needs to happen to make sure it has been completed. So quality planning is a big exercise. It's all about quality standards. What do you define as standard? So there will always be a risk. So if you say I'm just example, let's say I want Roselle tiles, white, 2 by 2. Okay, that is defined. Now Roselle tile, white, 2 by 2 has multiple quality standards, as you know. Some you can buy for 100 rupees, some you can buy for 1,000 rupees. You can't define price here. So you need to define what is that you want, exactly the standard, and that will be given in each tile. So each tile, when you look at it, each has a standard, and it is manufactured to certain standard. So for example, if you go to Dankotua, they manufacture porcelain, there is certain standard. What you get in Colombo to buy, Dankotua, is all the cheap ones. There's some issue with it. All the good ones get exported to Japan, US, India, and so on. Right. So defining quality, how are you going to monitor and control, is an important element of the planning stage. So in the planning, you will have broken down into objective of this particular task. What is the requirement of this particular material? Quality method standardized. The standard will be specified and the procedure to measure will be specified. I'll show it in the next slide. So quality has multiple things. If you notice, most of them come from Japan. I'm sure you all have studied all of this with Travis. But in project, what matters to is the last two. In projects, that's what we use. We use FMEA, but that's called the failure mode effect analysis. Failure mode effect analysis. What does that mean? So let's say there is an activity A happening. Before the activity starts here, you will identify what are the possible failures this project may have or this activity may have before it starts. Then while the activity going on and you finish, you will compare against that what has happened. And you will say, all this was done, but this one went wrong. So you identified the problems. End of it, you will identify what went wrong. And then you need to do an analysis. That's when we use the fishbone analysis. All of you know fishbone, so I'm not going to teach you that. But I'm going to look at fishbone from the 5M. The 5M are man, machine, material, money, and minutes. So man is all about resources, machine, equipment, material, money, which is the budget, and minutes is your time. So what does it tell you? So it tells you, the 5Ms will tell you, these two went wrong, you will analyze that. And you will say, you will put that in there, you will say that is because the material that we got was a bad quality. And hence, the impact of putting it right going to cost you time and money. So this will then lead to, of course, you have completed it, but you have spent extra dollars to finish. So now if you have got the turnkey project, now you need to see how to save this. You don't want your margins eroding. So you are looking at ways to improve that. How are you going to come back on track? So that's what we use the fishbone diagram for. Okay, right. So that's on the quality aspects. Now we spoke about HR aspects. So you have time, cost, quality, scope. Now let's talk about project HR aspects of a project. Now, when you're doing a project, you need to have a team. And this is important that the team understand their requirements, characteristics of this team. First of all, a shared goal. If the team doesn't understand the goal of this project, it's going to be tough for them. They don't understand, only you understand. Climate of trust. So if your chairman says, hey, go and do this project, select 10 people from your thing, from your organization, who's the first person you will hire? You have been given the task to do something, who's the first person you will hire for your team? You don't know. I mean, if you are given a project, who will go and you say, okay, come to my team? Person? Things like us, things like the PM, okay. Most trusted, okay. Project manager, you are the project manager, so you have been given the responsibility to hire. Cross-functional. Who is the first person in that? Huh? The first person you will hire or ask to join your team is your friend. Nobody else. Your friend. That's what you will ask. Hey, Machan, come. I have to do this project. You have to support me. He will also come. Isn't that normal? That is because the trust. You trust that person. You're going to do this project. You are the project leader. You need people whom you trust. They trust you. So your friend is the best person. Right? Right. Honest communication. We have been communication enough. Belonging. You need to know that you belong to this project. If you are sort of kicked out and kept out, then you don't belong to this project, right? And that's a bad story. Diversity is an asset. So if you need to have people, like you said, cross-functional, diversity. People come from different background, different culture. It doesn't matter. Diversity is good. Risk. You need to understand risk. We'll talk about risk and mitigation. We already spoke about. Self-correct. When things go wrong, you must allow them to self-correct. You don't need to correct them. You must allow them to learn from that. Members are interdependent. You obviously, the team is interdependent on each other. Decision-making consensus, you all have studied enough of that. And leadership, participative. Get them all involved. Right? I'll talk more about that later. Right. So PM skills get developed through over time. So there is certain skills that you start off with in life, the education you had, the training you had, the personality you develop from your parents or DNA, and some work experience developed you into a certain person. Then that leads to when you start working, due to organization structure and culture, you develop into a certain person. So if you are working in a government sector, you will have a different personality. If you work in an IT company, different personality. If you join Haley's, it's a different personality. I'm not saying one is better than the other. It's a different personality. You develop a certain personality. And then through certain other motivation, experience, doing projects, you learn some project management skill. And then obviously you learn to become a leader. This leadership skill is different. Now, if I were to give each one of you a project, each one of you will lead the project in a different manner, not in the same manner. So that gets developed over time. And then obviously that becomes you become an influencer for your team. If you have to undergo a surgery, a doctor who has passed out, heart surgeon, 2 years he's been doing surgery, he's charging only $1,000. A doctor, another doctor, 30 years experience, charging $5,000. Same heart surgery is 30 years experience. This guy had 2 years experience. Where would you give your heart? I know there's a doctor here, but whom did you trust? If it was my wife, I know where she will ask me to go, because she wants to save the money. No, this doctor is good. I have checked around. I asked all the people. They said he is the best. I asked my mother. She will say, don't go there, son. Go to this experienced expert because I want you to be saved. Right? Of course, you're going to go to the guy with the most experience. This fellow is going to do trial and error on you. He will do trial and error. You die, you say, oh, sorry, he died. Right? Then he will try the next person. Maybe you'll get it right. And maybe 30 years later, he might be a best surgeon. I'm not saying no. But he's going to do trial on you. You want to trust and go, that is your call. Right? Project management is like that. The more experienced you are, the more expensive you become. The more trusted and able to deliver. People come after you. Tomorrow, can you be a project manager after following my course? No. Right? So That's how you develop. But where does it come from? So 20% of it comes through knowledge, studying, and so on. Another 10% will come from attending other classes, seminars, e-learning, books, reading, and so on. But if you notice, 70% comes from experience. How many projects have you done? If you've done 25 projects, you are a master. Right? So this is an important element. You can't learn overnight. Okay. So it's all about developing your leadership skills. Get it done, early stage. Develop your team as you go along. Improve yourself as well. So this is discipline, self-management, time management. These two skills are very important if you want to be a project manager. Have I ever been late to your class? You know me, 5 or 6 classes. Have I ever been late to your class? I have never been late. That is self-discipline. That is my skill. Time management. How many of you have come to my class on time? At sharp 2 o'clock. Self-discipline. And you need to learn that. If you're going to be a great leader, a great project leader, learn that. Self-management, time management. Right? Nothing wrong. You come whatever time you want. I'm glad you actually came. That's a positive thing. Right. Then that develops you into a certain leadership skill. Now, what's the problem? Now, let's say you have developed into a project manager, and now you are going to go and work in you have been sent to do a project in an organization. Not you are belong to that, but you have been from outside you are going. So depending on the type of organization, you need to adapt. So for example, role organization. Now, role organizations are where it's very traditional. For example, Haley's or John Keel's. You are a very dynamic guy. You go to that organization, project. Now you need some approvals, otherwise you can't proceed. So no problem, we get you the approval, and the approval paper is written to the chairman and all that, to the board. Board meeting is next month, so you have to wait. 1 month later, it goes there, gets approved and come back. Now you have waited for a month. That's normal in a traditional organization, nothing new. But they have survived 100 years. So if you're going to work in the organization, you need to be able to adapt to that. Entrepreneurial, single leadership. Let's say you work for something like WSO2, the IT company, Sanjeeva. Sanjeeva is a very simple guy. Anybody work for him here? No, he's a very simple guy. Any approval, you just walk into his room, get it signed and come back. 5 minutes, approval given. Very dynamic. Now, in this organization, you are a lazy fellow. You go there, it's lethargic, just sit around, do some work. Sanjeeva is not going to tolerate. That is good for public sector or good for another company that is rolled, not for a dynamic company. So you need to be able to adapt to this. Then you get the group member gathering, which is the task. They all have a common purpose. Right? They have a common purpose, like group of people, who, like NGO, whatever, a different setup environment. When you go there, you have to manage yourself differently. Existential is where you have individuals who are all equal, like partnerships and things like that. Now, you can't say, I'm happy with one partner, I will go with him or her. Everybody say, oh, equal. Then you have to wait for all their approvals. So it's even more complicated. So what matters finally is relationship. How you manage a project in an organization, adapting to the different culture. I know you all have done all this in a different aspect, but I'm just giving it from a project aspect. So what you're looking for is if you're working in a bureaucratic type of project or bureaucratic type of organization, you have to do a project, your mindset has to be different. If you're working in an entrepreneurial type of setup, your mindset has to be dynamic. If it's community-based like NGO and so on, it's different and so on. So your mindset has to keep adapting to learn the way you work. Okay. Now, one of the questions that get asked to me is that how many team members need to be in a project team? How many team members should there be in a project team? Any answers? There is no right answer. Could be 5, 10, 3, doesn't matter. What matters is what is available as a skill in that team. So the important skill that you need in a project team are these 5. So facilitator is like a leader who makes sure things are happening. Facilitates, make sure it's happening. So you need some leadership skill. Recorder. These are people who will write down everything you say. Even if I am lecturing, they want to write every word. They feel comfortable. They are recorders. You need that. Because you're in a project, you go back and ask, hey, last April I told something, can you check your book? And they will look at and say, yeah, you said this April. They will have everything written down. They are recorders. Timekeeper. There's always one telling you, hey, come on, let's finish it quick. We are running out of time. You need that person. Process observer. These are people who like things in an orderly manner, step by step. They can't jump. They want everything done properly. Right? You need those people. And then finally, the thinker. This is your person in your team who is the problem case, bad child, who creates problem for the team. Now you need that person in your team. Why? Because this person is the only one who will save you when you are in trouble. When you are thinking like this fellow will think differently, outside the box. They're not bad people, just that they can't focus, they can't do whatever you tell them. They're annoying. And you would have experience in your team as well. Right? But you need them. But they are the one who will think outside the box when there's a problem and come up with, oh no, if you do this, these are the other problems you will face. You need to think differently. And they are the people who will add value to it. So these 5 skills are important in a project. Now, all of you would have done the Belbin's 9-member team. Of course, managing this is a different set of skills. Ajanta would have done this with you. I'm not going to go through that. But what I'm trying to say is this is the standard method they use or standard team they use. But what I'm saying in a project, what is required is the skills. Now, effective team is important. You must have an effective team. And otherwise, you're going to struggle to deliver something. So how do you make an effective team? Make them understand, own the goal. So if you give a task, then they will do it. But they must be involved in part of the team. If you just treat them like another person, you won't get the best out of them. Willing to put the project goal first, right? So if if director says, Arul, I want you to do a project, go and take 10 people from the batch B and start the project. So I come to batch B, say I want 10 people. So I'm going to take 10 people. Now, whom do you think I will select from you all? Whom will I take from all of you? The person who talks the most, person who gives me the most answers, The quietest person, the one that who is sleeping, one who is laughing. Whom do I select? Let me tell you this, none of you. None of you will fit into my team. Why? Sir, 5:30, I have to go, class. Sir, today, Saturday, assignment at, I had to submit that on time. You all are doing an MBA. I don't want you. Always problem. You always have something to do. You will never put my project as a goal priority. I can't have that. If I'm running a project, I need 100% of your time. Listen to everyone in your team. That is very important. Give everybody a chance. There will be quiet people. Get them to talk. Task. The task focused, and we'll talk about task in a minute under Rasi. Conflict. There will always be conflict in a team, right? You need to, as a leader, you need to manage conflict. And sometimes conflict is good. Doesn't mean you beat each other up, but it's good. Discuss ideas. Trust, we already spoke about. Respect, consensus, and resources. Each one will have their own strength, and we need to make the maximum out of them. So when you're getting a team together, the biggest problem you have in a project, as you know, project is a temporary organization. Let's discuss that in class 1. Temporary organization. They're all new. There is no culture. You have to set the culture. You have to set the process. Because there is no culture or process in the team. Because if I take 10 people from anywhere, they are all from different backgrounds. They don't know what to do. So the 5, of course, you know this, the 5 stages of forming a team, from forming, storming, norming, or forming a journey, right? Finally, you have to let go. Because it's a temporary organization. And then structure. When you are choosing, you have to choose the right structure for the right project. So which structure fits you best? Not only cost, it's the right structure for this project. Again, we discussed this in class 1. Now, let me talk about project team responsibility. Now, if you see here, when you hire a team, normally what I do is I have the team names on the left side and the activities on the top. Now, when I say activities, I don't mean the level 3 activities, what we use in the project plan or Gantt chart. I'm talking about level 2, 1 level up. I will have 1 level up activities here. Now, if you read it vertically, you will see always there will only be 1 H. So for quality, responsibilities, the QA. Rest of them are part of the project team. So in this case, quality, H is responsible, M can be supporting, L can be part of the team members. And these people won't be involved. I don't want any of these people. So you set the standard, subgroups. You don't want somebody coming into the, I thought he was doing, he thought he was doing. You don't want that confusion. If it's quality, we know who it is. If it's finance, we know who it is. So that needs to be set. So we set this in a professional manner called RASI. RASI stands for responsible, accountable, consultant, and informed. So each project will have, each activity will have a RASI member. So this is a real sample. You will see the activities on the left, and on the right, on the top, you will see different subgroups. So each subgroup will have a leader who is responsible, who is accountable, who will be kept informed, and who will be part of the team, the consultants. The consultants are part of the team. So each of those activities, you will have one person taking responsibility to making sure it happens. And they also become accountable. We call it a RASI matrix. So a few more slides and we are done. So you can go home. Understanding required by a team member. So if you have a team, it's important that they understand you, you understand them. Otherwise, the team project is what will suffer. Project team member has to have a start and end terms, right? They must know when to start, when to end. So that is given. Different skill and experience. So different people are brought into the team, not because they're good or bad, but they have different things to add to the team, different experience, different resources will have different background, and they're all important. Processes are not defined. As I mentioned, nothing is defined in a project. You have to define. So this is a temporary organization just got together. So you need to define that. Project manager, this was an exam question. Project manager may not be a subject matter expert. So does a project manager, question was, does a project manager, take out 10 marks, does a project manager need to have subject matter expert? Yes or no? Argue. So let me ask you, does a project manager needs to have a subject matter expert? Yes or no? Do they need to have any knowledge? So let's say you're doing IT project. The project manager, does he or she need to have IT knowledge? Up to some extent, okay. You're doing a construction project, 50-story building. Does a project manager need to have engineering knowledge? No, right. So you can put an IT guy there, and he will manage a construction project. So what? Both know means what? How can you say both know? So either you can put the IT guy and he can manage a construction, or you must say, no, he must have engineering knowledge to manage a construction. Sorry, you were saying something. No. Shy to say. Okay, whatever. What's the right answer? So I asked this question because I was not sure as well. Just to get an opinion of people. The thing is this, when you're doing a project, there are pluses and minuses of having knowledge. Let's take an IT project manager, 20 years experience, top of the notch. He's the guy, best person. Now he has got 10 people in his team. Now, every time something goes wrong, every time some help is required, what is the 10 people going to do? They're going to run to the project manager. They won't even discuss. And the IT project manager will also not participate because they are juniors. I know what I'm doing. So they will have to listen to this person. That is not good. Then you got only one track. You might as well then run the project. You don't need people. So it's important when you have a team to get the best out of them. So if you are knowledgeable and you have a lot of knowledge, then you're going to struggle to get the best out of people, where they will all look to you for answers. So the important thing is you must have some knowledge. Right? You must have some knowledge. You must have some background. So for example, can you take a lawyer and put them to manage a construction project? No. Can he manage an IT project? He will only talk law. But then you must have some background to run the project, right? So that is important. Doesn't mean he has to be a subject matter expert. Doesn't have to be expert, but have the knowledge. Right. High level of uncertainty. Any project will have uncertainty, and that's always the case. You never know what is going to come next. Constant change. We discussed this, and we'll discuss on the change management. High pressure, most stressful job. It is very stressful. When you're doing a project, really stressful job. So you got to keep fit. You got to deliver with that stress. Flexibility in any team member needs to be flexible. As I said, you can't say my family is there, my child is there, all those things. Temporary relationships. So remember, projects are all about temporary relationships. And finally, ad hoc management and problem solving. Right. My final slide, and we are done. Individual is unclear of the role. So this is one of the biggest problems. That's why we have a RASI matrix. So everybody is clear in the team what they are responsible. Either they are leading a sub-team or they are just team members. Frustration. This is another thing that sets into the team. All of you are frustrated, right? You all want to go home. Understand, I understand, but sorry, you have to sit and listen to me, right? People give up. How many MBA students have dropped out? Difficult. When they find it difficult, they drop out. So same with the team. Lack of availability of key personnel. So when people you wanted are not in your team, you are going to struggle. Split in the team, that is obviously very common. You would have experienced some of the teams got split. People start fighting, they don't want to be part of the team and so on. So that is very common. Complaints. So people will complain to the team manager. You have to sit and listen. Now on 28th of February, all of you will be complaining to me. On the 1st March, I couldn't submit on time the 24-hour assignment. I hope you also read the brief that I uploaded. Laptop will crash, dog will bite whatever. All that, I had to sit and listen. And I will show you the long emails I get. Pathetic story, what to do, right? Not enough time. Again, common problem in a project. Time is the biggest factor. You're fighting against time. There's only 24 hours a day. That's all you have. Burnout. Obviously, by now, all of you are in the final part of MBA and you're already burned out. You all want to finish it quickly. Some must be regretting why I didn't do the 1-year MBA. Why did I choose a 2-year MBA? All those things are happening, right? It's all part of life. Finally, the acceptance of PM. What are your options? You are not happy with the PM. You are the team member. You are not happy with me. What are your options? Shoot me. Okay, fine. You are not happy with me. I'm having you as a team. Yes, one option, you can leave. You can leave the team. You're not happy with the project. You're not happy with the project leader. You are not getting the best out of it. You want to leave the project team. That's one option. Negotiation with whom? How would you negotiate with me? I mean, if I'm the PM, what would you come and tell me? That I'm not happy with you. Right, so you'll come and say, look, I have these issues with you, and then I need to sort this out with you. Okay? Good luck. Will you tell that to your chairman? Good. You still have a job? That's the thing. Which part? For local government. Okay, so I had to be careful, right? Not in the IRD, no? Not IRD, okay. So you want the team must get together? No. Yeah. So you are trying to correct a 50-year-old man. I was trying to say, you have to change. I don't like the way you run this project because this is the first time you are running a project. You have never done a project before in your life. I am going to tell you how you're going to run this project. You don't like, very simple, no? Get on with it. Oh, get out. That's it. No? The point to remember is this. You have no authority to tell me what to do. In the sense, you can't sack me. Who appointed me? You? No. Project sponsor appointed me. The board appointed me. They appointed me based on your input. They have seen my CV. They have seen my experience. I may have done other projects for them. They have seen I have delivered projects on time. But they don't remember that iceberg I showed you. They see what I have done, but they don't know me probably. So they hired me. Now they said, you are the man, go and deliver. And I hire you. Now I got a team. Now you are not happy with me because over time you realize this fellow is shouting at me, he's asking me to call this time, he's not giving me a break. You are not happy with me. Now you have two choices, either leave or you go and complain to the sponsor or board. Not to the project manager. No point complaining to me. Who hired you? I did. So therefore, can you sack me? No. Can I sack you? Yes. I can get rid of you anytime. So when you have a problem, if you can talk to them and correct them, great. Right? I go back to my slide. I have certain DNA. I have developed over past many years my skills. And with my skills, I have delivered projects. Just that this project, you are not happy with me. You are not happy with me because your life and your beliefs and your things are different. And I don't have to respect. I understand. You are not happy with me. I agree because my way of doing something, yes, you don't like it. It was my mistake to have brought you onto the team. So I can ask you to go or ask you to adopt. I am not going to change myself to deliver something that's been entrusted to me. It's like this. I don't know about you, sir, but I can't go sack the president of this country. I elected him. I can't sack him. Right? It's like that. Once you're appointed, you are appointed. Nothing you can do. So always remember, you are the subordinate in a project. And the project manager holds responsibility for the project, for the finance, and for the team. You are part of the team. You have no authority to even sack him. You can complain. You can complain to me. You can complain to my boss. You can complain to the board. They may take decisions based on you. They say you happen to be the chairman of chairman's daughter. There's something wrong with me. That can happen. But I'm saying the team does not have responsibility to sack the project manager. Okay? Any questions? I'm thinking of putting this as a question, just to see the answers. Yeah. Yeah. If the project manager has a relationship, friendship with the team, and they are open, and I said has to be open, and they can listen to the person, and the person is willing to take the feedback, absolutely right. And that's the right way of doing it. You can say, look, I don't like you giving instructions like this. Tell me politely, I will do it. Fine, that's okay. But you can't get rid of me. To all the members, thank you very much. Because I hired all the members. I brought you. You are my team member. I am going to hire you. You are not happy with me, then please go. Here, of course, you can go and tell the director and he will sack me. That's a different story, right? Last 15 years, I survived here, right? So they trust me. You can go and complain to the director, but they will still trust me. If I have survived here 15 years and delivered 15 years of lectures, there must be something good in me. It's like that. All right, guys. So please do read the brief. I will talk about it next week. And I'll see you next Saturday.